The story of the United Kingdom, one penny coin from the year 1965, begins during a period of transition in British currency and national identity, and the coin itself represents the final generation of the large bronze pennies that had circulated for more than a century before decimalization changed the structure of the nation's money system. The year 1965 stands near the end of the era when the old pre-decimal coins were still the daily instruments of purchase and trade, and the penny of this year therefore carries the historical weight of an entire monetary tradition. The obverse of the 1965 penny features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, showing her in the early years of her reign. This portrait by Mary Gillick displays the Queen wearing a laurel wreath which symbolizes youth, dignity, and continuity. It is one of the most admired portraits used on British coinage because of its classical style and because it reflects the optimism of the post-war period when the United Kingdom was rebuilding and redefining its place in the world. Surrounding the portrait is the inscription that honors her title as Queen of the Realm. In 1965, the portrait had already been in use for more than a decade, but it still represented the young monarch whose image was known throughout the Commonwealth. On the reverse of the coin is the familiar figure of Britannia, a national symbol dating back centuries. Britannia is seated facing right, holding her trident and shield. Behind her is the sea, symbolized by gentle horizontal lines, along with a lighthouse that has appeared on many earlier pennies as well. The word penny appears above, and the date 1965 is placed at the bottom. This design had been used on British pennies since the reign of Queen Victoria, and had become one of the most iconic images in British numismatics. Its continued use in 1965 shows how deeply the design was connected to British identity and maritime history. The material of the 1965 penny is bronze composed mostly of copper, along with tin and zinc. These pennies were heavier and larger than modern one-penny coins, and their size made them easily recognizable in the hand and in the pocket. Coins from this period often developed a deep, rich tone over time due to the copper content which gave older pennies a warm appearance. At the time, they were minted by the Royal Mint in large numbers because the penny remained an essential part of everyday trade throughout the United Kingdom. The year 1965 is significant in British monetary history because it falls within the era when decimalization was being planned. Although the decimal system would not officially begin until 1971, preparations were already underway behind the scenes. Policymakers knew that the old penny would eventually be replaced, and the mint continued to produce the bronze penny, but with the understanding that its days were numbered. This gives the 1965 penny historical value as one of the later examples of a coinage system that had existed in Britain for centuries. In circulation, the 1965 penny was used in everyday life for small purchases in shops, bakeries, markets, and public transport services. Children often handled these coins when buying sweets or toys, and adults used them regularly for basic transactions. Because of their large size, they were also used in coin-operated machines of the time. Many people who grew up during the 1950s and 1960s remember the satisfying weight of the penny and its familiar sound when dropped into a till or vending machine. Collectors today view the 1965 penny as a charming reminder of the pre-decimal past. While the coin is not rare because millions were minted, it still holds nostalgic value. Coins in uncirculated condition with their original mint luster are more desirable for numismatists. The design, the portrait, and the historical context make it an appealing piece for anyone interested in British history or the evolution of coinage. The 1965 penny also represents the end of an artistic era. The Britannia design that had graced pennies for generations would soon disappear once the new decimal system was introduced. Modern designs would take its place, and while they brought innovation and new symbolism, the departure of Britannia from the penny marked the closing of a long chapter in national iconography. For this reason, the 1965 penny is more than a simple piece of metal. It is a link to Britain's numismatic past and a testament to tradition, continuity, and change. When examining the coin closely, you can still see the craftsmanship that went into its production. The raised edges, the finely detailed Britannia figure, and the crisp portrait of the Queen show the Royal Mint's high standards. Even common circulation coins were made with careful attention to artistic balance and proportional harmony. Over time, many examples became worn smooth because they passed through countless hands during years of use. These signs of wear also tell the story of everyday life in the United Kingdom during the mid-20th century. The wider historical background of 1965 also adds to the importance of the coin. The United Kingdom was in a period of social and cultural evolution, with modern influences shaping music, fashion, and public attitudes. The British Empire was transforming into the Commonwealth, and the national economy was adjusting to global changes. Within this changing society, the penny remained a constant and familiar object, something that connected people with the long history of British currency. As the final years of the large bronze penny approached, the public gradually became aware that change was coming. Newspapers and public notices discussed decimalization, and educational materials were prepared for schools so that children would understand the new system before 1971. Although the 1965 penny continued to circulate normally, it was already part of a closing chapter in monetary history and would later become a memory for generations who had grown up using the old coins. Today, when collectors or history enthusiasts hold a 1965 penny, they may feel a sense of continuity stretching back to the Victorian era and even earlier. The coin represents the rise and evolution of Britain's economic and cultural identity. Every detail from the portrait of the Queen to the image of Britannia reflects traditions that shaped the nation. Even though the penny is no longer used in its original form, it remains an object of study, appreciation, and historical reflection. This long history makes the 1965 UK 1 penny an excellent subject for a detailed YouTube video because it allows viewers to explore not only the story of a coin, but also the story of a nation moving from one era to another. You can expand each part of this narration over 2 hours by discussing the minting process, the design origins, the role of Britannia, the era of Queen Elizabeth II, the economic background, and the transition to decimalization, giving your audience both education and nostalgia. The deeper history of the 1965 United Kingdom. 1 penny begins long before its actual year of minting, because the coin belongs to a lineage that stretches back many centuries, and its design reflects traditions developed through generations of political change, artistic evolution, and national identity.